Welcome to the Entrepreneur Power Hour, where we educate the world's entrepreneurs, have fun, and do a little bit of crazy stuff. And while doing all that, we learn something. Woohoo! Did you really think education could be fun? Now it is. Today we're going to talk about the way to get rich quick is not what you think. Now, a lot of people might be wondering, how do you actually get rich? But you get rich in knowledge. You buy a bunch of textbooks. You find ways to get physically fit. The money, the paper they give us, that isn't real riches. The real riches come within here. And if you don't believe me, let's have some fun tonight and start exploring that. So I'm going to look at the first part of it. We have it on our Facebook page. Get mentally strong. Now, what does that mean? Life has its ups and downs. You need to have mental strength to deal with them. And you need to identify your mental weaknesses and work on strengthening them. So mental resilience can help you most of the times without too much strain. And for me, what that means is if I'm not tough here, I can't be tough physically. Really think about it. Any workout, any exercise is all mental, really. I mean, yeah, it's physical that I'm lifting up heavy weights, but all the physicality doesn't matter if when I start feeling pain, my mind here says, oh, give up. You don't have to worry about it. So I want to start with the mental side of things. Open it up and see, what does it take to be mentally strong?
Well, I know for myself, I conquered severe anxiety disorder and depression a number of years ago, and I went through some of the most amazing traumatic things that the human mind can go through due to anxiety disorder, and I had to learn how to take my amygdala out of hyper arousal mode, and it was not easy. I learned how to handle stress better. I learned how to handle negative moments in my life better, and I actually learned how to resist getting stressed out, resist getting anxious, and resist getting too emotional or too angry too quickly and things like that. Now that's taken years and years and years of conditioning, and I'm actually still working on some of that myself. So it's been a really eye-opening experience to learn exactly how the mind works and how my mind in general works. So I think to be mentally tough, you have to be willing to experience just about anything so that you know what your threshold is and what your tolerance level can be. Anybody else chime in?
To me personally, being mentally tough is not necessarily going with the grain. Do things that you normally wouldn't do. Like, for example, you're having a brutal week, man. Maybe make it a rule. Give yourself an hour a day or an hour a day of laughter. Just take time and do whatever it is to break the strain, because I think a lot of people think once they get stuck in something, it's hard to dig your way out. So a lot of times you gotta find something alternative, whether you're gonna laugh, you want to scare the crap out of yourself, put on a good horror movie, whatever it is. Anything to get your mind off that certain thing that's holding you down. Whether it's talk to a friend, just anything in general. I don't think being mentally tough isn't something that you have to do by yourself.
Oh, no, definitely. I think it's important to have a group of people around you that you can support, that will support you and that you can count on during those really bad moments in life when you're going through a bad experience or when a new unexpected change happens in your life and you're struggling to deal with it and you're struggling to take on all the new things that are happening. But I think I've learned how to embrace change. I've learned how to adapt to change. I mean, look at me. Look how I'm dressing now. I look like Fox Mulder from the X-Files. I never thought this would happen, but I do. And the reason I do is because I want to be as professional as possible in my appearance, in the way I talk, the way I articulate myself, and I want to be taken seriously. So I think it's very important that you have adaptability. And that you can adapt to different situations and different stressors that may arise. I think adaptability is very important. Thanks.
Take the ball and roll with it.
I'm going to throw the ball to somebody. Josh, Micah?
Fran? I haven't heard from Fran yet. Fran, how are you?
Hi, I was just in a listen mode tonight, but I just try not to get stressed out because it's not worth it. It's counterproductive. I just try not to get there to start with.
I think the interesting thing that I experienced was I wasn't really into dressing up, being on camera, and neither was Chris. And even though we had like differences of like, oh, I don't want to dress up. Why do I have to wear
I'll write it
something
down.
nice? Why do I have to wear a suit and a tie? All that stuff. It doesn't really make sense when I first thought about it because it was just me and him doing it. And I said, well, there's not that many people watching. But then when I saw that more and more people were watching, more and more people are coming regularly, I had to develop a mental thing where I was going to put on something nice to wear. I was going to be able to be coherent and then carry on a show no matter what happened. I was going to have to find the right information, or Chris was going to have to find the right information and then even build a trailer out of it. And that takes a lot of not only endurance, but just mental toughness, saying that no matter what happens, I'm going to show up dressed and present myself in a certain way, even if I don't like it. And I think everybody here has had at least one or two times where they've had to present themselves in a way that maybe they weren't 100% comfortable with, but they had to do it to better their career, their life, their relationship, whatever it is. Does that strike anybody? And I unmuted some people if you want to say anything.
Okay, wait, what is that all about?
I think that was Micah's speaker.
Okay, Ron, if you want to go ahead, man.
Actually, go ahead without me on this one. I'm sitting here getting people contact me at the same time.
No, if you want to roll with that, because I know for a while, I didn't expect you to show up in a suit. I was actually surprised when you showed up with just a button down.
I guess it's because I've made so many adjustments in my personality and so many adjustments in the way I want to present myself. I know that in order to be taken seriously as a successful entrepreneur, I have to look successful. So after reading some more of Napoleon Hill's The Law of Success, he told me, I was reading about how he dressed in the book, and he always had a suit on and he always was wearing a tie. And he was approached by many people with smiles and many different business owners that were asking him what he was doing, what he was all about, and how far he was in his career, where he started, how he got to where he was, and the steps that he took to get to where he is. And I think now for me, I'm just so used to being able to separate the musical part of Chris with the professional Chris. And I've got to be sure that there's a difference. I have to make sure that the difference between the two is apparent. So I think that that's just been part of the growing process for me, is being able to separate Chris from professional Chris. And that's very important for anybody, to be able to separate while their casual lifestyle and their passions and their beliefs from their professional life. So I think that's very important for sure.
I think that's one of the main things of being mentally tough. It's not just saying that I'm going to have a big ego, I'm the man. The ego is actually what stops me from doing well, because it's telling me how awesome I am and how I need to just be me, when there's certain points where I have to take a step back and see, is this really going to work in real life? If I want to be taken seriously, please ask or look the part and at least work somewhat to move forward with that. I don't have to change myself for other people all the time, but if I have a dream I want, then I might have to put myself in some uncomfortable situations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know, and I think it's always a good thing to really look at what's going on around you. You want to challenge yourself. Sometimes you really go to the extremes. Maybe if you're wearing something and things aren't working, maybe go another route. Maybe start dressing up. You know, that's the thing about being an entrepreneur. It's constantly testing what's going to work and what doesn't. Um, you know, and that goes with everything that you were talking about regarding adaptability. You have to constantly kind of roll with it, even when things are working at its finest. I mean, it could stop in a heartbeat if it's, you know, for any given reason. I mean, look at the way trends are. You know, just that's a perfect example. You know, a trend will come, it'll go for a period of time, then 30 years later, here comes that trend again. So, you know, adaptability is big.